It's Thursday, January 25th, and I'm your host, Sarah Beal. On today's show, we'll talk to Cape Cod Commission Technical Services Director Glenn Cannon, and we'll meet Precinct 1 Town Councilor John Flores. But first, let's get a look at today's top headlines. Assistant Airport Manager Katie Service will assume the role of Airport Manager this June. At this week's Airport Commission meeting, a vote was taken to approve a 3-year contract for service.
BMA 0118-02, approval of the 3-year contract for Katie Service as Airport Manager to commence June 29, 2018. Motion to approve the 3-year contract to commence on June 28, 2018 for Katie Service as Airport Manager. Sponsors the Finance Committee and it may be acted on.
For a second.
Second.
Okay. Contract has been reviewed by the subcommittee and other folks. Everybody's in concert with that. So, any other discussion regarding this one? All in favor, signify aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Congratulations.
Congratulations. Thank you, everyone.
You sure?
Yes, I'm sure.
Current Airport Manager Bud Brialt will retire on June 28th, and Service will take over on June 29th. Congratulations to both on their retirement and promotion. Cape Cod Healthcare and the town of Barnstable are partnering to host a blood drive here at Town Hall. This Friday, January 26th from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m., the Bloodmobile will be parked in the Town Hall parking lot. Because of recent bad weather, 35 blood drives have been canceled, so the need for blood is high. If you'd like to make an appointment, you can call 508-862-5663, and of course, walk-ins are welcome. All blood collected stays right here on Cape Cod. The town of Barnstable is currently accepting applications for artists and artisans interested in participating in the 2018 Hyannis High Arts Cultural District Artist Shanty Program. Artist shanties are located in the Hyannis High Arts Cultural District at Bismarck Park, and new this season, 3 additional shanties along the walkway to the sea overlooking Asleton Park. Artists will be juried as applications are received, and applications are accepted on a rolling basis for the remaining spots of the 2018 season. Spots are filled based on need and availability. Applications can be found online at www.artsbarnstable.com. We'll also learn more about this tomorrow with Arts and Culture Coordinator Melissa Hirsch. Coming up next, Glenn Cannon of the Cape Cod Commission. Glenn, thank you so much for joining us today. It's been a while since you've been here.
It has been, yes.
You know, Steve's been filling in, and he's been doing a great job.
Yeah, a lot of meetings up in Boston, as a matter of fact. So, very important part of the job.
Yes, but thank you for joining us today. We have a couple things we're going to talk about. Let's start first with a Mass DOT Route 28 and Pitchers Way. I know this is it's been talked about before. The intersection at Burses in 28 is completely being redone, and then maybe one of the next intersections to look at will be the 28 and Pitchers Way. Correct.
You know, MassDOT, we've done a great job of working with MassDOT, you know, of taking on these problem intersections, kind of moving our way down Route 28. This is one that the Cape Cod Commission looked at it a couple of years ago. Now MassDOT's going to take it over. Very similar to what we did at Route 28 in Katuitt. You know, Cape Cod Commission goes out first, kind of gets feedback from the public, then MassDOT comes in with the project. So Route 28 Pitchers Way, a problem intersection, been a problem for a number of years. MassDOT's going to step it up and do some, you might see some surveying crews out there right now, you know, measuring the width of the roadway, where the right-of-way line is right now. And then MassDOT's going to come forward with a project that will improve the intersection for safety as well as congestion, and also make it more bike and ped friendly. One nice thing about all MassDOT projects is they require sidewalks on both sides of the road. They require bike lanes. There'll be a multi-use path because there's already a multi-use path on Route 28. So there'll be a big change for that area. You know, and we'll get them to. We'll talk to them right now about maybe even moving further down towards the high school entrance there, the back entrance to the high school, or another problem area of Route 28. But you know, MassDOT is stepping up and trying to address these problems for us. So it's a good thing for us.
That's wonderful. That's a intersection I frequent. I live right in that area, and it's you know, there's no left turn lanes, and there's, you know, it's always congested, especially in the afternoon because you have the schools getting out, and it's just a busy spot.
Right, and that's one of the things they'll be looking at. You know, right, putting in left turn lanes there and protected phases for it. Again, making sure that the kids can cross the road.
Yep.
I know we went out and looked at that back entrance to the high school a couple of years ago. The kids are walking on, I want to say, the north side of Route 28 where there isn't a multi-use path. because they don't feel like they can safely get across the road.
Right,
You know,
so they
there's a
cross where it's safe.
Right, there's a multi-use path on the south side there. They don't feel like they can safely cross the road. They're walking, in the dirt. You can see what we call the goat paths, the little paths they made
Yep.
along the road. So, well, MassDOT should be fixing up that intersection. It'll be vastly improved, very similar to Route 28 and Beerses Way, where you see these significant improvements here. And that's good for everybody.
Yeah.
Particularly in that area, it's you see a lot of people walking, you see a lot of people biking. The high school is close by, very walkable neighborhood. So it should be a walkable and bikeable location also.
Yeah, definitely, and it should be good. Like you're saying, there should be a few more crosswalks along that section because, like you said, you said it exactly. It's like the kids get out of school, and it's either walk down the multi-use path and then cross, and it's a little dicey, or cross and there's no sidewalk for them. So I think that's great that that's going to be included when they look at the other intersection.
Correct. It really is. You have to look at where people need to cross the road and where they should be cross the road, and making it safe for them. Very similar to the Route 28 Beerses Way. Where MassDOT came forward with a project that I felt was the safest project to bring forward. Maybe not be the most convenient, but they wanted people to cross at the traffic signals so people can walk up there, push the button, stop traffic, and cross the road. I know it's not as convenient. You have to walk down to the traffic signal to cross, but it is the safest method to let people cross the road. And again, so what you have here, you have Route 28 Pitchers Way, and then the next one isn't until Strawberry Hill. So you have quite a distance there. So we'll probably need to look in between there for a couple locations because, geez, I don't know, is that a mile? I want to say it's probably it's quite a distance.
It is,
and that's a long distance to walk.
It is.
We try to keep it somewhere in like the 500-foot range for people to walk because other than that, they'll just, they'll do what's most convenient.
Right.
But try to make it safe for them.
Wonderful. What's the timeline looking? Are you going to be looking for public feedback on this?
Exactly. That's what we'll be doing upcoming this year, 2018. We'll be looking for public feedback on this project just to get people's ideas, what they want to see. Again, the first step is to go out and do the surveying to see what impacts are going to be personal property, whether or not it's going to be all done within the right-of-way. Always a big question, what can be done within the right-of-way. Whether or not we should be reaching out to the town of Barnstable about Pitchers Way itself, too. Again, MassDOT will take care of Route 28. They'll take care of the approaches to Route 28, but Pitchers Way itself will be a town road, so whether or not we can coordinate, very similar to what the town did with Beerses Way. Again, MassDOT fixes up Route 28, they fix the approaches to it, but it's up to the town to complete the multi-use path along Beerses Way up to Route 132, I believe, right? Going all the way up. So the town's been very responsive to that, very good about working with MassDOT on these projects and coordinating the projects. As thankful as we are that MassDOT comes forward and takes care of these projects, there is an impact. Route 28 Beerses Way has been under construction for quite some time now. It becomes difficult to travel at times, so we want to lessen that impact from the construction.
Yeah.
So
wonderful. So we also want to chat about Route 6. There's a couple of things that you're kind of looking at: acceleration and deceleration lanes, as well as paving shoulders.
Correct. So another project that MassDOT has asked us to take a look at and kind of reach out to the public. It's the acceleration and deceleration lanes at the exits on Route 6. And they've asked us to take a look at quite a stretch of Route 6 from even the Sagamore Bridge all the way out to exit 12 on the Mid-Cape Suicide Alley out there. But we'll be coming out to the town of Barnstable, really focusing on exits 4, 5, and 6 and the acceleration and deceleration lanes there. What people feel about that. I'll tell you that the trade-off will be, we're looking at an analysis right now to see how many trees will be impacted, how many trees will be cutting down. MassDOT has told me they don't want to be out there cutting down. They're not going to be clear cutting trees. But if there's selective trees, if we think it's a manageable number, we're going to ask them to move forward with that project also. Part of that is paved shoulders for Route 6. This section of Route 6 has a gravel shoulder, dirt shoulder. It isn't the best thing in the world for traveling public. If you need to pull off the road, it's safer to be on a paved surface. It's also for storm water. The water builds up, the water can build up on a paved shoulder as opposed to being built up in the travel lane. I drive Route 6 quite a bit every day. We have thunderstorms every year. We have about a dozen of them. Route 6 always floods out. There's no place for the water to go. It stays in the travel lane. They're very intense storms, so that shoulder would help with that. In the wintertime, again, if it does flood out, now potential freezing, very hazardous. So a paved shoulder can help with that. But there's always trade-offs. There's always
Right.
impacts. That's why we're doing this analysis. Again, we'll come right here probably to Barnstable Town Hall, talk to residents, whether or not they feel as though the benefits of that paved shoulder outweigh the impacts of it. And we'll hopefully have an analysis how many trees we think will be cut down, wetland impacts, the types of impacts you normally expect.
Right.
But someone will have to make a hard decision. So that's one of the projects we'll be looking at this spring.
Yeah, there's a lot coming up this year. It's going to be really busy. Make sure you let us know when you're going to have these open meetings for people to come in and talk about, what they like, what they don't like.
I certainly do, and that's one of the reasons why we appreciate this forum, because that's, I can tell you, MassDOT does not want to be on the front page of the newspaper. They don't want to be in the press about cutting down trees.
Yep.
They really want to hear from residents, and if the residents don't feel as that it's appropriate, they'll back off.
Yeah.
They won't take these projects on. Trust me, we work with them a lot. They want to do good things for us, and they want to make sure they hear from residents. They really do. So we
Wonderful.
appreciate these opportunities.
Great. Well, Glenn, thank you so much for joining us today, and I look forward to chatting with you again maybe next month.
Yes, thank you, Sarah.
My guest today is Glenn Services. He's the Technical Services Director at the Cape Cod Commission. Now, let's meet Precinct 1 Town Councilor John Flores. John, thank you so much for joining us today. You're the counselor for Precinct 1, so let's kind of start with where exactly Precinct 1 is for
Sure.
viewers.
Well, first, Sarah, thank you for the opportunity to
Thank
come
you.
and share some information about Precinct 1 to the audience. Basically, Precinct 1 is on the north side of Barnstable. It runs from really the edge of Yarmouthport on 6A down to 132, a little bit of West Barnstable, swings around Cape Cod Community College, and then right up 132. Going east, if you will, and then finally comes down along Willow Street. So it's like a large rectangle. So I have all of Comaquid, all of Barnstable Village, a little piece of West Barnstable, a little piece of Hyannis, but a very large area land-wise. And one of the biggest ones, of course, is Independence Park,
Yep.
where you name it, it's there.
Yes, it is.
And it's probably zoned
Yes.
for some future date to have something else there. But it's a very progressive, if you will, precinct. People really care. You can always tell on voting day to see when you compare Precinct 1 to other precincts in the town. People vote. That means they're engaged in their civic duty and their civic responsibility. And I'm really honored to have the opportunity to serve the folks as their town councilor.
That's wonderful. One of the first things I wanted to talk to you about today was you were the chair of the recent school committee member search. And I just wanted to find out, how you think that process went. You had, I think, 15 applicants that came through?
Yes. Actually, we had 11 applicants.
Okay.
We met last week. I was nominated to be the chairperson by Eric Steinhilber, the president of the town council, and Chris Joyce, who is the president of the chairperson of the school committee. So that was an honor in and of itself. And we basically ran through a series of questions. We asked each candidate the exact same questions so that we would have a balanced approach in terms of how we would then evaluate them at the end of the evening. And as they came through, every one of them was a great candidate. Each had particular skill sets, strong abilities, I think, to have gotten the job done. But at the end of the evening, we collectively, unanimously, as a committee, and that committee was Eric Steinhilber, and Jen Cullum, myself as council people, and then in addition Chris Joyce and Stephanie Ellis, who is the vice chairman. And collectively we came up with 3 names that we will be recommending to the full school committee and to the full town council. And on February 1st at 7 o'clock we will have a joint meeting. We will interview those folks publicly. The 3 candidates all have varied backgrounds, but all have experience in the educational industry, if you will. One was a teacher, one was a university vice president, and the other one was a teacher as well as an administrator, 2 of whom have spent some time, some part of their career here in Barnstable, and one person who basically did it in another part of the state. But again, all qualified candidates. I think they all bring a skill set and really an ability, I think, to help guide Barnstable Public Schools into the future. So I felt really very, very good about the whole process. It was open, it was transparent, it was fair. And so it'll now be up to the full school committee and the full town council on February 1st to figure out, after these public interviews, again, they will each be asked the same question so that is fair and equitable. And then from that, the school committee will be asked to vote, and then subsequently the town council will be asked to vote. So that evening, we will have a new school committee member for the Barnstable School Committee. And it's important to me also that we did this the right way, because I am the liaison from the town council to the school committee. And I have my own background in education as a retired school superintendent and an educator for many years in the greater Boston area. I was really impressed with the overall quality. So I'm looking forward to February 1 and filling that seat and letting the school committee move on as it should.
That's great. The committee did yeoman's work in putting this all together, and it's a different situation because it's something I don't think the town has had to deal with before, filling a position that was such a long term and so soon after someone was elected and put in. So I think you all did a wonderful job of screening the applicants and doing the interview process.
I think Margot Weber was an excellent school committee chairperson, an excellent school committee member. For whatever given reason, she chose, as we all know, to resign. I think we were all surprised by that, but nonetheless, I think we're fortunate that within the town of Barnstable, we have people ready to step up, assume that responsibility, and carry, if you will, the mission and the objectives forward of the school system, so that we still maintain an excellent quality in terms of what we provide to our children and to our parents.
That's wonderful. Let's talk about some of your work as the counselor in the town of Barnstable. What are some of your priorities this year going forward with your precinct and as the town as a whole?
Well, as a town as a whole, I mean, I have to focus on what the needs are of Precinct 1. But honestly, when I consider myself as a councilor, I consider myself as a town councilor. Every one of the villages is contiguous and interconnected and interdependent. So we have to be sure that we take a global perspective in terms of how we look at issues. And I think the most pressing issue that we as a town, we as a community, we as Cape Cod have is really wastewater and water-related issues. If we do not have quality water, we do not have Cape Cod. That's the bottom line. And so we have to do everything within our power to mitigate, if you will, any kinds of pollution that go into, whether it's Three Bays on the south side, whether it's Barnstable Harbor on the north side, into our ponds, into our estuaries. So that's a very, very critical issue that I'm looking at. In addition, the whole problem of opioids and how it's impacted not only Hyannis, but Barnstable Village as a whole. The amounts of money that we have spent in terms of providing services and really life-saving services in many instances, we need to figure out how we stop opioid addiction from the get-go, and that's only done with youth. So we really have to strengthen, if you will, the kinds of programs and the kinds of opportunities we expose our children to, so that ultimately down the road it becomes less of an issue, less of a problem. In addition, I think just overall the economy is very critical in terms of how we run the town. I think we're very fortunate through the leadership of Mark Gels as our town manager and the department heads that he has. I have to tell you, I'm overly impressed on a regular basis in terms of how this town not only plans ahead and performs with a very proactive kind of mindset, but also can be reactive when a situation occurs, when a problem comes up. We can address it accordingly and get it resolved, I think, to the benefit of whether you live on the north side, the south side, east side, or west side of Barnstable. So collectively, I would say probably the top two things for me from a town perspective, one is water quality, second is opioids. Relative to Precinct 1 in and of itself, it's really the overall everyday kind of economy that we have established. One big project that we have coming up is an improvement of traffic flow through Barnstable Village. It's called the Barnstable Streetscape Project, and it's a project that's going to take a look at how we allow traffic to enter and exit from the village area. The village area meaning basically from Millway all the way up to Old Jail Lane, which is the part of Route 6A that basically the town owns. East of the Unitarian Church on the corner of 6A and Millway, that's state land. And west of Old Jail Lane, that is state land. But in between there, we own that strip. And what we're really trying to do is mitigate the speed of traffic as it comes through the village. And so there are all different kinds of plans that have been proposed. We've held a number of public community meetings, and we're reaching the point now where probably within the next couple of months, I think we'll have a final meeting, come back to the public and say this is what we think it is that we want to do. This has been led by Dan Santos as Director of Public Works, as well as Paul Graves, who was our new town engineer who came on this past winter. Both have done a great job, along with the other staff people from DPW and the consultants that they have hired, to really, I think, design something that will be of benefit to the community long term. Now, it's one of those public projects that, you know, you can't please everybody. It's just not the way public kinds of public works projects work.
Correct.
But at the same time, we're hoping that what we do design, not we, but what the engineers design and we as the community of the village and of Precinct 1 eventually will accept and will move forward with it. So that's a critical issue. In addition, at BWB, we're hoping to rebuild the playground. The Castle Playground that was in the back of that building for so long and was became really one of the favorite places of folks to go to in the town, and that's moving forward. Jen Mullins, who is a parent, or was a parent of a child there, as well as a former teacher, educator, has been really leading that charge, along with a committee of a number of concerned residents, both parents as well as those folks who have had children come through BWB in the past. So that's a particular issue. But across the board, we've got a number of other, you know, we have the Mary Dunn Well situation, which basically is in Precinct 1 but impacts the water supply in Hyannis, and we all know the problems there. I mean, I've got issues at the airport. It's in my precinct, even though it's run by the Airport Commission, which is appointed by us as the town council. It still impacts what I have to do relative to the overall, if you will, harmony of Precinct 1. And just everything that goes on Independence Park. We have some new buildings going. There's a new apartment complex going on the corner of Mary Dunn in Independence. That's going to be a market rate rental facility, hoping that obviously we provide the kinds of housing that the public needs. There will be some affordable units in that. Further up the road in Independence Park, we have a new senior citizen opportunity being built. That also will be market rate. And as if you drive up Independence Drive right now, you'll see all of those actually in the process of being constructed. In addition, I just want to publicly thank Maria Marasco. She works for Mass Development. She's the director of the Southeastern region. Maria is not only a friend but a good colleague, and through her and with the help of Town Manager Mark Ells as well as other departments within the town, we managed to get a grant to do a number of renovations relative to sidewalks, relative to the traffic interchange as part of Independence Park. And I'm happy to say that one of the issues that I was very concerned with after we built the Village Green, which is the affordable housing on the corner of Independence Park, there's no sidewalk. And you see lots of people walking up and down Independence Park. That's an accident waiting to happen. And so I was very happy when we managed to include, as part of that MassWorks grant, a sidewalk that will run the length of Independence Park all the way down to 132. That's exciting. That'll that process will begin. In addition, looking at the bike trails that are coming in from Yarmouth and will be running through Barnstable, that's exciting for me. So there's a host of different things going right down just to the basic needs that we have as a community in terms of making sure that the beaches are clean, the barrels are emptied, the mundane things that we perhaps don't think about, but I get phone calls about.
Of course.
When the barrel is overflowing, I get the phone call. Councilor Flores, and I have to say that always the DPW steps up and gets the job done. And in closing, again, when I think of Barnstable as a whole, I just can't say it enough. We are very, very fortunate in terms of the level of excellence that we have across the board, virtually in every department that we have in town.
It's true, and I thank you for saying that. As an employee here in the town of Barnstable, I appreciate that you appreciate all the hard work that we do here.
I do.
Let's let everyone know what your office hours are. You have office hours on the
third Friday of every month from 3 p.m. to 4 p.m. I have office hours at the Sturgis Library, and I'm happy to also announce that joining me every third Friday is Tim Whalen. Tim is our state representative, and Tim does represent Precinct 1. That is part of his district, and he and I show up every third Friday. And basically wait for folks to come in and tell us an issue, tell us a problem. If they just want to come in and chit-chat, we've done that. And there's times that no one's come, which tells us one of two things. A, everything is right, which we know it isn't, or people are just too busy to come in that day. But I put out a newsletter on a monthly basis. Usually comes out the first of every month. And so if folks have an issue or concern, they can call me. My phone number is always in there. They want to get on the newsletter, they can just email me at the town. All of that information is public. But if it's an immediate issue, either come the third Friday or call me or email me or text me, and I'll see what we can make happen.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for coming in and chatting with us today, and I'm sure we will have you again in a month or two.
Sure.
We'll get some more town councilors in, and then we'll bring you back in.
Sarah, it was my pleasure to have the opportunity to share my ideas with not only all of the town, but in particular Precinct 1.
Wonderful.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. My guest today is John Flores. He is the town councilor for Precinct 1 here in the town of Barnstable. Now let's take a look at this week's community calendar. The 1717 Meeting House will be hosting their second annual Burns Night this Friday. The evening will be spent celebrating the life of noted Scottish poet Robert Burns, complete with bagpipes, drums, haggis, and Scottish refreshments. This event will take place this Friday at the 1717 Meeting House at 7 p.m. For more information, please visit 1717meetinghouse.org. The Barnstable Senior Center is offering a new sewing class that begins on Monday, January 28th. Sewing with Lorraine and Ginger is a 4-week series taking place from 1 to 4 at the Barnstable Senior Center. This class is designed for adults who want to learn the basics of sewing with a sewing machine, brush up on their skills, or learn new skills. Students use their own machines if they have them and provide their own materials. They may work on any project of their choosing. The class is limited to 6, so register today by calling the Senior Center at 508-862-4750. Thank you for joining us today. We'll be back tomorrow with an all-new show. On tomorrow's show, we talk with Assistant Recreation Director John Gleason, Natural Resource Officer Chris Nappy, and Arts and Culture Coordinator Melissa Hirsch. For Barnstable Today, I'm Sarah Beal.